In my last two videos, I explored how terms like cosmetic, aesthetic, functional, regenerative, longevity, and wellness medicine are often used and sometimes misused across our industry. We looked at their origins, timelines, and how clinics apply them, often in ways that can confuse potential clients or blur the lines between different types of care. In this video, I want to build on that by examining some of the practical challenges of incorporating longevity and wellness services within an aesthetic or cosmetic clinic so that you have a clear understanding of the potential impact on your business of widening your service portfolio. As a business owner and coach, I've always believed it's essential to have a really clear core strategy to understand exactly what your clinic provides and where your main source of income comes from. Most clinics have a particular treatment or product that delivers the bulk of what I like to call their bread and butter income. For my daughter's clinic, that's hydrofacial. For many established medically led clinics, it's typically botulinum toxin, which often makes up the largest and most consistent share of revenue. And if those treatments are priced correctly, they often generate a higher percentage of your actual profits too. So one simple but powerful aim is this: identify the most profitable treatments you offer and then focus on increasing how many of those are performed in each room every single day. In my experience, both as a clinic owner and as a coach to other clinic owners, problems often arise when new treatments are added to the menu without really understanding their profitability. I completely understand the temptation to chase new trends like lip flip Botox or Trabtox, but they grab attention and they're often all over social media at some point in time, but each one requires new training, a learning curve, and a good understanding of how often patients or clients are likely to come back for repeat treatments. And as we've seen, many of these trends come and go just as quickly as they arrive. Where clinics can really run into trouble, though, is with equipment. In this clinic's menu, there are at least 10 different devices, each targeting a different concern, all with varying levels of demand and marketing effort needed to keep them busy. And unless you're completely on top of your numbers, it's easy to end up with one or two machines that are actually costing you money instead of making it. Also note that this clinic offers an extensive treatment menu primarily focused on core aesthetic treatments, but without any claims around wellness or longevity. And we'll come back to that distinction later. When I speak with clinic owners who are struggling to grow their profits, the focus is often on getting more clients through the door rather than developing a clear core strategy. And of course, that strategy will look different for every clinic. One of the biggest limiting factors, especially when it comes to equipment, is simply the number of rooms available. It's not unusual to find several pieces of equipment squeezed into one room, which naturally raises questions about utilization and whether each machine is actually contributing to profitability. At the same time, as we've seen in the previous videos, there's a growing push to incorporate wellness and longevity services, however you choose to define them, into aesthetic clinic models. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that if you've already maximized the potential of your core treatments, have the space and time to introduce new services, and most importantly, have a clear understanding of the profitability of those new offerings compared to simply doubling down on what already works best. Over the past few months, I've actually had quite a few discussions with ChatGPT about different aesthetic business models, and I asked it to give me a simple summary of the main ones. It came back with this table which outlines several core models and how their profitability might typically compare. Now, of course, the actual numbers will vary depending on the specific treatments and services that fall under each category, but overall, I say this summary feels about right, and it highlights an important point. If your goal is to maximize profitability per hour from the rooms you already have, then adding in wellness or longevity services could possibly dilute your overall profit potential rather than enhance it. When you add a new service, it's also important to think about pricing pressures and how you're going to differentiate what you offer to really add value. A few months ago, Therapy, the largest aesthetic clinic group in Europe, launched a new brand called Therapy Health, describing it as their first step into the longevity market. Now, I'm not sure how many of you would class Wegovy injections as a longevity treatment, but it does highlight an important point. This is already a very crowded and competitive space, with high street names like Boots and Superdrug now firmly in the mix. So it's worth asking, how easy will it be for your clinic to compete in that market outside of your existing client base that already knows and trusts you? As I mentioned in the last couple of videos, longevity and wellness aren't exactly new categories. What's changed is the range of treatments and services that now fall under those labels. But here's the key point: when suppliers, industry magazines, or even other clinic owners start suggesting that you should be offering these too, it's important to pause and really question why. Look carefully at the reasons behind expanding your treatment menu and make sure those decisions don't distract you from your core services or dilute the overall profit potential of the treatment rooms you already have. I realise this video is already getting quite long, but honestly, I could probably talk for another hour about strategy, marketing, and particularly the language you use to promote your treatments and services. But from this three-part series, I hope it's clear why having a really strong and coherent strategy matters. One that both your team and your potential clients can easily understand. Be crystal clear about the terminology you use and how you classify your treatments. Don't just add new services because other clinics are doing it, and definitely don't copy the language from supplier brochures without checking that it truly reflects what you do and the benefits you deliver. If you do decide to expand your service offering, make sure your core strategy doesn't get lost in the process. Keep promoting what you already do best. That's often where your most reliable growth comes from. It's a confusing industry, and over these 3 videos in the series Identity Crisis, What Kind of Clinic Are You?, I've tried to highlight a few areas that might help you to think differently about how you define your service menu, how you position your business, and how you communicate it more clearly to stand out from your competitors. If you're struggling to create the right strategy for your business and need someone to discuss this with, you can book in for a free 20-minute session with me by visiting ronmyers.co.uk.